Hello, everyone. Happy New Year, if it's not too late to say that, and hope you're all well. So on today's session, we are going to be looking at WooCommerce. It was a last-minute change for a couple of reasons, really. I've actually been developing quite a few e-commerce websites over last year, and I felt it would actually be good to have a deep dive into this, even though we give training for each of our websites once they're produced. I thought it would be good for those new to e-commerce, but also people who are thinking about whether e-commerce could be something good for them, as well as older clients where it'd be good to have a refresher. Hi Joy, thanks for coming along. So really, I'm going to be walking you through from setting up the plugin, looking at products, discounting vouchers, shipping and order processing, that sort of thing. Again, it's another walkthrough. Hopefully we'll fit it in time, but anything else we can cover another time. The topic that I did push out, which was to do with the marketing strategy, I've been doing a series that will hopefully be done next month. To be honest, there were just a few finishing touches I wanted to do to this, but because of I thought the e-commerce was a bit more urgent, I thought we'd just go ahead with that one, and we'll bump the expert until next month or maybe March, depending on how we get along. Also, just to let you know that we've moved house finally, for those of you who've been following along and I speak to on a regular basis. So that's great. However, we're operating on a mobile internet connection, so hopefully it's not going to drop out. If it does and it all goes to pot, I will re-record this for you, I promise. Okay, let's get things in order. So there's no real preamble to this. I'm just going to just briefly talk about myself for those new to this, watching this for the first time. So hello, my name is Ben Kinnaird. I've worked with over 500 businesses since we started back in 2009, and probably more than that now, actually. I cover a wide range of areas, from marketing strategy, web development, video, data analysis. Really what I like doing is helping people get over those hurdles in business and in marketing as well. We've got tons of previous webinars now, over 24 of them on lots of different topics. So do check those out. I think I listed the last 3 in the reminder message that went out. And do get in touch if you've got any issues or you need any help with anything. Get in touch with me, support@ratherinventive.com. Okay, so I think we just go straight into the screen share for this particular one. So if I get everything right. Okay, brilliant. So what I'm going to do with this is actually give you a sneak peek behind a new site we're developing for ourselves. The current site is around 2, maybe 3 years old now. And it's really time to take it forward. Also, since the last site, we've had the club evolve, so that needs to be folded into it. We've also got another site called Inventive People, which is off here on a different platform called Shopify. So I want to fold that into it. So this is the development site where we're bringing all those things together. And I thought this would be a great example to show you through WooCommerce, because it's very much in its infant stages. So you can see the sort of raw setup. Okay, so let's just go for a quick run through. And please forgive, this setup is slightly different to WooCommerce default, because we've got some extra additional plugins in here from a company called Yith, which allow things like membership and subscriptions. So you may see some of those elements creep into the products and the WooCommerce system. You'll have to ignore those. That doesn't come with WooCommerce directly. I try to strip it back as much as possible without removing the development I've already done. So let me take you to the shop element of this. And I've obviously put a few test products in there for our membership. But what I'll do is I will just go into the self-build website, just to give an example, a feel for how products work. Now, if you've used WooCommerce before, you'll be very familiar with their sort of standard layout of title, image on the left-hand side, and then an area on the right with the price, the basket, and so on. And that's very similar for many other e-commerce websites, Shopify included. That's another system that we also use. Then a description down here, and then depending on what options you've got, attributes, specifications, downloads that you might have as part of this product, you'll get different tabs appear. Now, I've got a slightly different design in the theme that we've developed, which we use for all of the web development we do nowadays, where I actually prefer, and I think customers prefer, having, rather than having tabbed information, which means you have to click a bit more, have those tabs sort of moving further down the page so you can just scroll to get that information. So that's actually how it works on mine setup here. So yeah, this is pretty much it. And it's WooCommerce is a pretty full-featured e-commerce system that allows you to sell quite a wide variety of physical products and digital products. And there are extensions, as I mentioned, for subscriptions, membership, and various other things. I mean, there's a very big ecosystem. I mean, WooCommerce is one of the biggest plugins that you can get to manage e-commerce on your WordPress website. But there are others. I'm not going to go into them, but there are lots of other ways of doing it too. So let's just add this to the basket, and you'll see I think I had it set up to go straight to the cart afterwards. And then from there, we get a little total tax, and I can proceed to the checkout and carry on through. But let's go and dive into the back end of it. So I'm going to go back to, is it this tab? Yeah, this tab here. So on this tab, when you install WooCommerce for the first time, which you do, in fact, let me just quickly show you on here. You would do it by going to the plugin section of your WooCommerce, of your WordPress install. And then you would search for, you go add new, and then you'd want to search for WooCommerce up in here. So search plugins, WooCommerce. And that'll come up as it's already active install, but it should be the top hit. And then you can press the install now button and then activate on there. Obviously, it's already active on here, so I don't need to do that. But on yours, that's all you need to do. And then WooCommerce is installed. Once it's been activated, you will get a little wizard setup screen, which I've already gone through, so I can't show you that right now. But it's essentially going to go through just pre-filling out some of the basic information, like collecting your store address, where you're located, and the types of products you'll be selling. What it will also do is try and connect you to WordPress and sign up for a WooCommerce account so that you can more easily connect in with some of the other plugins and features they've got at a later stage. You don't need to do that to activate WooCommerce. You can just go through and ignore setting up that part of the process. But you may want to do so. It might make it easier for you to buy plugins and additions from them at a later stage, but you don't need to do it for those of you who want to know. So this process is going to be very similar to the information you'll see in setup. So the first thing it's going to ask you to do is set out your store address. So I've put our new address here, Little Smithcott Farmhouse. Oh, it's not in Cirencester. We are in Chippenham. There we go. It's my old address coming out there. So you want to put in the address here because if you're selling stuff online, you really you need by law to have your address and contact details on there. At least it's email and address. So you need to put that in. That also helps set tax rates and other things like that. So it's the first thing you need to put in there. The next is to decide what countries you're going to sell to. Now, you might say, well, I'm happy to sell to everyone. And that's fine, but that has implications in terms of tax, refunds, and all of that sort of stuff that you've got to manage. So maybe if you only are really selling to the UK, just stick with the UK for the moment and then expand out as you go, because it's going to make things a lot easier. And certainly for us, I mean, all the products we sell primarily are either digital or such as a workshop, or they can be deployed digitally, like developing a website. But for now, just to keep things simple, I'm just going to select that I sell to specific countries, and it's just going to be United Kingdom. Shipping locations, that doesn't really apply to us, but it's going to be all the countries we sell to, but maybe we ship to all countries, or you've got different calculations for different countries. We'll come to that shipping a bit further on, because I know working with different clients, shipping is a complex issue. Different people want to ship things in different ways. You've got big items, small items. Sometimes people have very consistent shipping, and maybe they offer free shipping. Sometimes the shipping will depend very much on the size of the item. So I will give you an example of that later, but really it's going to come down to exactly what you're selling and who you're selling it to, what country, and how you want to charge for that. Default the customer's location, our base address is fine. That's just to give them an idea from a shipping perspective, but once they put in their address, they'll be able to customize that. I do want to enable tax because we're VAT registered, so we have to charge VAT. If you're not, you don't need to enable that. But if you are VAT registered, you definitely need to tick tax calculations here. And we want to use coupon codes, absolutely. And I'm going to go through that later as well. I don't need to calculate coupon codes sequentially. So it's just basically saying you can put one coupon code on and it's going to take the total. And then if you add another coupon code, it'll take that total and apply the coupon code to just that. No, we just want any valid coupon codes they can use and it'll affect the total. Just some defaults here in terms of our currency and how we set things up. But broadly speaking, this will be set by the location of your shop set within the defaults of WordPress. So you shouldn't need to alter anything there. Now, there are lots of tabs at the top here, but before we move on, we need to save what we've done. So I'm going to do that. Brilliant. Okay, so let's move on to the next section, which is products. So it's a good idea to spend a little bit of time going through this first because it's going to set up everything you need later down the line. But don't worry, if you just want to quickly go through and set up some basics, that's fine. You can then go through and add some products and start tinkering with it. You'll always be coming back to this page to set things up until you're comfortable with it. But it is worth spending a little bit of time to go through. Okay, so I think broadly speaking, these are the defaults. What I want to do though is, so this first option here, shop page. I don't know if you're familiar with how WordPress works, but you can set specific pages for the home page and the blog page, and WordPress will take over those pages and it just helps WordPress understand that this particular page is for blogs. This is your home page. So when you're using its default links to the home page, it knows which one to go to. Or it knows that when it's looking at your blog page, it knows that actually that page, on that page, ignore the content, just show all the blog posts that have been published. It's the same with shop page. When you add WooCommerce, it will automatically add several pages for you. My account, basket, checkout, and shop. So it'll add all those pages, and by default, it'll say the shop page is shop. But you can change that to any of the other pages you've got in your system. I'm going to leave it as default because that's what I want. Now, basket behavior, I like it that when people add something to the basket, that it goes straight to the basket page. Because usually if people are buying something from us, it's going to be one item. They're not going to be going through a list going, I want that, I want that, I want that, and it just pops into the basket automatically. The other option here, enable Ajax add to basket archives on archives. All that's just saying is that you can, rather than, once you click add to basket, if you want to do it multiple times, rather than it creating a page load and having to go back to the server and then load it back up again, it just uses a little bit of JavaScript that when you click it, it just does that code in the background. So it's a bit faster. Placeholder image, by default, WooCommerce will add a placeholder image, which I'm not that fond of really, but it will add one into your media library. If you want to change that to make a custom image that suits your brand, you can add a new image into the media library. Let's see if I can bring that up here. You add it to the media library. Let's say we're going to choose a custom image like this. Let's say that's our default image. What we can do is just take the item number up here, and that's what we put in. It's not intuitive as such, but that's what you need to do. So you add your own image into the media library. So I'll drag and drop a new image, click on the image to bring up the details about it, and then look at its ID number at the top. Copy that, and then pop that into this section here. It does give you a hint as to what you need to do. Otherwise, really, we shouldn't be using default placeholder images. We should have a custom image for each one, but maybe you've got thousands of products and you're not going to put images in for each one. Maybe this is a good way of just having some default. And then your units of measure, again, this should be defaulted based on your location. I'm happy with these, although I really don't have anything that weighs anything or is of any size. It's all digital. Now, depending on how you are going to work with the reviews, I'm going to use Sayhola, which is the review system we made, and that plugin has the ability to detect if WooCommerce is added and then add reviews relevant to that product on the product pages. But if you, and the reason I want to use that is because I like that workflow and it links in with the other parts of the system. However, if you want to use the built-in reviews in WooCommerce, then you can just leave this enabled and you'll be able to have product reviews on there. Personally, I'm not going to use it, so I'm just going to actually disable that because I don't need it. I'm not going to go into reviews today because it's a bigger topic really, but that is available on here. So let's save those. And then we'll move through. You notice on some of these tabs, they actually have sub-tabs. So product has sub-tabs. So let's look through some of those as well. Inventory is the next one. So on inventory, you can have stock management. Now, for us, the stock doesn't really apply, to be fair. There could be ways that we could use stock management. Everything we have is digital. There could be ways we could use stock management, potentially for if people are buying projects or my time through this, I could kind of create a rudimentary time management system by managing the stock and what I've got available, not allowing people to buy things, but it may not work. But if we're selling like physical goods, then we definitely want stock management. And we can enable that. And by default, it's on. So you can leave that enabled. For most people, that's going to be fine. If you don't want it enabled, just turn it off. You've got this hold stock for 60 minutes. What that means is once someone adds something to the basket, it's going to just reserve that stock while they go through the checkout process. You can reduce that time limit if you want. If you've got stock that's quite fast moving, you don't want people holding on to it for a certain period of time for too long. And not allowing other people to buy it. You've probably seen something similar on Eventbrite. When you go through and register your place, it holds that place for 9 minutes while you go through the process. If you don't complete within 9 minutes, it's going to release that back to the pool and other people can have it. It's very similar with this. Do you want notifications when there is low stock? And you can see there's a low stock threshold here. So the default is 2. So if I'm selling widgets and I've got 10 of them and suddenly a flurry of people buy it, when it starts getting down to the low stock threshold, so you've only got 2 left, you're going to get an email about that. And once it's 0, you're going to get an out of stock notification as well. So these are just the thresholds that you can add by default. I can't remember actually, but I think you can change that on a product by product basis. And then the notification it goes to, which could be different. We've got our default support email in here, but you might have something that goes into your warehouse. So you've got a warehouse address that goes in there. So you're not bothered by these low stock notifications. It can just go to someone who can do something about them. And then whether you want to, further down here, whether you want to show whether an item is out of stock or not. Again, this varies depending on how you manage stock. It might be that you want to manage stock on here, but you don't want people to be put off that there isn't stock because you know you can fulfill it pretty quickly. And there are ways of managing that. I know we're speaking to someone where they want to be able to not only back order, but pre-order. And so people, once there is no stock, they are able to pre-order that particular product and then put in their details to be notified of that. That's not built into WooCommerce, but you can, we're investigating getting a plugin for that. But what you can have is back ordering. So that basically means that once you've reached a stock level of 0, it will start going negative. So you're allowing people to order things that aren't available on the pretense that there's maybe a longer waiting time for it, and they are back ordering that product and they'll get it when new stock arrives. I'm not really going to dive too much into that. Again, stock management can really depend on how you want to manage your inventory and everything you're doing, and whether you want to manage it on WooCommerce or whether you're going to manage it in a different way. I've worked with different clients who, some where stock isn't an issue, they really don't bother with stock management because they can fulfill things pretty quickly, or it's all drop ship, or you've got something, the other end of the extreme where everything's unique. So there's an example I'll go through for this, for shipping, I think, where everything's unique on there. So they don't really have any items that are, there is no stock management. It's a stock of 1 every single time. Anyway, let's save these options and we'll move on to downloadable products now. This is something we will be using. So I do definitely want to be having downloadable products. So this is where you have a product that isn't shipped to anyone, but we do want to basically to ship people a link where they can download that product. Now that's all sorted out by the product. We'll dive into that in a minute when we go through that. But all this is saying here is just a few default options to whether you need people to log in to get their download or not, or whether they just need to click on the link in the order email. Do you want to immediately grant access to downloadable products after payment? That's a good default to have, rather than waiting for the email to come through where they can do that. They can download them straight on the thank you page. And whether you want to make it downloads unique. It might be that you upload a file, and if you didn't have this ticked, once people know that link to the file, then they would be able to pass that around as many people as they like, and everyone will be able to download it. By having the unique string, and string is just a unique set of characters, it means that that's unique to them. So it means it is protected and they can't pass it around between other people. And you can have great things like restricting the amount of downloads, restricting how long they have it for, whether they're only allowed to download for a week, a year, forever. There's a lot of options in there. These are just the basic ones. And this file download method is really to do with, you want to leave on default really, but it might be that some of this forced download doesn't work on the server setting you have, so you might need to change it to something else. But I'm pretty sure you could leave that for default for most people. Okay, so now we've enabled tax on the system, which we did in general. This tax tab will have appeared. So let's click on that and just make sure everything's set up correctly for us. So now this is going to come down to your preference, whether you're primarily customer facing or you're whether you're dealing with, directly with individuals, and so they're likely to be able to not claim tax back or VAT back, or you're dealing with businesses who can claim VAT back. Now, I'm mainly dealing with people who can claim VAT back, so I want to show everything exclusive of tax, and then we add the tax on at the end. So this will depend on whether you're dealing with consumers or not. So that's what I was looking for: business to consumer and business to business. So you can vary those options. Then, and this is mainly for America, but it could depend on how you're shipping. How do you want to calculate the tax? Is it based on where your customer is or where you are? I believe in the States, it's based on where your customer is. So if you buy it in one state, regardless of where the merchant is located, you pay the tax in that state. So in which case, this is relevant. What we would probably do is have the shop base address. So the tax is based on the UK. So regardless of where people are, they're going to pay UK tax, and they can sort out any tax rebates their end. Shipping class tax, I think that's just standard as well. We don't have shipping, so it doesn't really apply. But for some of you who have shipping, some shipping is free, some of it's going to have VAT or some kind of tax attached to it. So you need to work out those details. We don't have any reduced or zero rated tax, so I'm going to remove both of those. They're not relevant to us. Display prices excluding VAT in the shop. So not only am I going to enter prices excluding VAT, but I want them displayed like that, and certainly during the checkout. That's how we do everything in our quotes and invoices. So it's going to be exactly the same in WooCommerce. Oh, the price suffix. So this is just what's shown after the price. Again, for most people, when you're looking at something like Amazon, it's going to include VAT on there. But for us, we're going to make sure they know it's excluding VAT. And display totals, I want this to be as a single total. I think that's what my default was. Yeah. So I don't need to see each item having its a VAT total against it, because that's not relevant, because all of our taxes apply to everything at the same rate. But for some people, you've got different rates of tax. And I'll give you an example. We used to work with a hamper company, and so their hampers would have a different rate of tax to some of their food items, and some food items wouldn't have any tax at all. So it's very important what amount of tax was paid or going to be taken for each item, and then totted up at the end. For us, it's all going to be 20% or whatever the prevailing rate of tax is. So I'm going to save that. And then because I've done that, I just have a one option at the top, standard rate of tax. And I can go in there and set what that tax rate is. Now, by default, there is nothing set in here, because what it allows you to do for standard rates of tax is you can set in for different countries and different states or cities, you've got different tax codes. None of that applies to us. It's one rate throughout the whole of the country, in fact, the United Kingdom. So I've put in country code GB and then star, 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 which basically means anywhere they live within that country code, they're going to pay a rate of 20%. I'm going to call that tax. For you, that might get more complicated. But for most people in the UK, that's all they'll need to do. So we can leave that as it is. Okay, let's move on to shipping. So on shipping, there's different ways of managing it. And actually, you can, with shipping, you can set up different zones. And it really depends on how far afield you're shipping to. Are you shipping just in the UK, in mainland UK, in Europe, as it's got here, like local, so local to you specifically, so you can do local pickup, or yeah, whatever. You're setting up different areas depending on how your shipping works. As I said, shipping is actually quite a complex conversation. So if you can define very simple rules for where you can ship to people, whether they come and pick up or whether they go, you need to send out to them, whether it's to a different country, whether different taxes apply. If you can work all that out, this will pretty much cater for most of those. For us, we don't have any shipping zones. So we just want a basic shipping zone, which I can either go into this location not covered by the shipping zones, and it's just going to go for the default, or I might add shipping options, just put shipping options in here, because we don't really have any shipping, so we don't really need to do anything about it. So what I'm actually going to do is just show you a different example from a different company to show you how shipping works from that perspective. So this is Campania Collections, which we finished at the mid last year, I think it was. And this is actually a good example of where they have lots of different items of different shipping rates, some of which they can't calculate shipping until they know what you've bought and where it's going to, and then they'll give you a custom shipping price. So let's just quickly walk through this. I'm going to add this to basket. And then we can see this is actually set as a large item. So what that means is there is no shipping cost, and we can put in then a little, this is done through shipping classes. We can put in a little bit of information to say shipping by arrangement, additional costs apply. And then what will happen is, I think they've got a note here, something about somewhere about shipping, to say that when that happens, they will call you after you've paid for your item to arrange additional costs on shipping or local pickup if that applies. It's actually apparently quite standard for these sorts of things, auctioneers and so on. So it's actually quite a niche but interesting example. Just looking at their admin, so in their shipping zones, they've got these two. Mainland Britain. So basically, these are the options that we have in mainland Britain: standard, local pickup, and free shipping, and international shipping by arrangement, additional costs apply, because it will depend on where they are as to how that works. If I click on mainland Britain, we can see that the standard, local pickup, and free shipping apply. And to be honest, this is probably what most people would be using. You know, standard flat rate, whatever they've got costs the same amount to ship out. So you've got a fixed Royal Mail cost. Local pickup, that you could make that free, and then free shipping if, as it says here, if you've got a special coupon that triggers that. So in each one of these, it's going to standard. You could say our standard shipping item is for small items, because that's default, is £35 times the quantity, which basically means that for every number of item you've got in there, it's going to be £35 times that. So if you've got 2 items, it's going to be £70 in there. And yeah, as I said, shipping can be quite a complex issue, and it really depends how simple you can make everything. But in essence, most people just want to charge a standard flat rate for things that they're shipping. So you just put for the number of items, how much it's going to cost. If you can send them out in the same pack, maybe you just have a standard flat rate of £35 to ship it out. It really depends on how big they are. And then in local pickup, you can just say, well, it's going to be free, no issue at all if they select local pickup. And if they're free shipping, which is going to be triggered by a coupon, you can say, how that applies. And maybe, and this is quite good, if you've got you can offer free shipping over £200, well, you could set it like that. So anything over £200, then that gets applied. Okay, is anything else in shown shipping? Yeah, options, there's just a few basic options here that you might like to set. So you might like to see the shipping calculator so that people can work out what their shipping is going to be. I actually think on this one, we could probably disable the shipping calculator because there is no real flat rate of shipping. It's all a bit complicated, and really people have to call to get, they'll have to buy it and then they'll work out what the shipping is. But as I said, that's expected in that industry. You can also hide shipping costs until an address has been entered. If the shipping costs vary quite wildly, you might not want to put a guess of what the shipping costs in because that might disappoint people. So you might want to select that option. And then where the default of the shipping is going to be, and then debug mode if you need that, because there are some, if you are trying to work out shipping, it tries to be clever by caching some of the information, which can mess things up as you're changing shipping around. And then shipping classes. And this is where you can put your products into boxes. So we've actually got two on here and we're being clever. One is small item. So that's actually exceptional in this case. And the other is large item, which is default. So we've made it that large items are actually a default. So all products will be large items unless otherwise specified. So in which case, all they have to do is just within the item when in shipping, and I'll hopefully show you that in a minute, they can select small item if it does have a fixed cost of £35 per the unit quantity to send. Hopefully that makes sense. I mean, basically, if you've got any specific issues on shipping, best just to hook up and we'll have a quick call about it because it is very specific to everyone's requirements. And there's no, I've found no real one way to do it because everyone has their own rules on it. So that's shipping. Let's go back to our website here. And what have we covered everything? Yeah, so I'm going to look at payment. So by default, WooCommerce comes with some basic payment options. Direct bank transfer, so that's just making a bank transfer or back payment. Checks, but probably most people don't use those anymore. Cash on delivery, which makes sense, when they pick up the item, or PayPal. PayPal is the only sort of external payment processor they include by default. None of them are on by default, but I've enabled direct bank transfer for us to be able to test the cart out. So let's have a look at that one first. Once you've enabled it by selecting the option here, toggling the option, you can click on Manage. Now, bank transfer is quite useful, and actually you might want this as one of the options in payment. So once you've enabled it, you can give it a name if you want, give it some description, and any particular instructions. And the instructions will be shown only on the thank you page and any emails that get sent out. So it might be that you just want to put a nice instruction to say, please pay to our bank account details below. And here are the bank account details. So you put in your bank account and they will only get these on the email, the payment confirmation email, order confirmation email, and on the payment thank you page. So no one's going to see those unless they buy something. And this can be useful for big accounts. I know one of our customers, Morel's Handwriting, they use this for schools. So schools don't necessarily want to pay by credit card each time. They've got an account that they set up, or they want to pay by bank transfer because that's what they prefer. So they will put through their details like this. They'll select bank transfer and they'll just want to pay directly into the bank because that's their preference. And I find actually business to business, that tends to work quite well, especially large items. So you're not paying that credit card commission. However, I'm just going to go back to payments. What you'll probably want to do is take either PayPal payments or Stripe payments. So let's enable PayPal here. And then we can go and set that up. And once we've got PayPal enabled, we need to put in a few details from our PayPal account to allow it to work correctly. Because ideally what we want to happen is we want the payment to bump via PayPal's PayPal website to collect the payment details and then verify, authorize, take the payment, and then send it back to our website with a confirmation of payment. So in order to do that, we need to not only make sure we put in your PayPal email address, but there are a few key details that we need to get from PayPal, like this identity token. Once we have the identity token, then it's able to capture the payment and then send those details back. There's a few more bits here they might need as well, like API credentials. But essentially, these are the most important bits, because what it's going to do is just send a ping back, an instant payment notification, I believe it's called, to your website to say, yeah, that's been paid. Not only is that going to make it more straightforward for your customer, but it's going to make it easier for you, because you're not having to match up your PayPal notifications with your orders and make sure everyone's paid. It will do that for you. Another option I'm going to include is Stripe, which we recommend highly for taking credit cards, but you have to add that as a plugin. It is free, so let's go ahead and do that. In fact, before I do that, I'm just going to show you some of the payment providers you can use. I think most of them are free. So we've got Stripe, Amazon Pay Square, you're probably familiar with, PayPal. That's a slightly different version of PayPal, but you might need it. And I've obviously got some different versions here. Whatever you're using, you should be able to find a payment processor for you. Some aren't free. I know SagePay, they have a separate plugin that needs to be paid for, but I would highly recommend Stripe. Very quick to set up an account with Stripe, and it's free on here. So if you want to set that up, the easiest way is to go and install the plugin. So you go to plugins on WordPress, you go to add a new plugin, search for Stripe, and you want to be looking for the WooCommerce Stripe payment gateway. Let's activate that. I've already added it or installed it. Once we activate it, we will then be able to go to our back to our payment here, refresh the page, and we'll see Stripe, or a couple of Stripe options, to be fair. There we are. Most of these you won't need, they're for different countries. So we just need this one, which I'm going to turn on. And just like PayPal, there's some options you'll need from Stripe. So first thing, you need to set up a Stripe account. Super simple, very quick to do, and you just need some basic verification to do that to prevent money laundering. Very simple, with similar to PayPal, really. And then you can go into the API area, and then you need to collect some details for that will link the website with Stripe and enable it to send payments. To activate Stripe to take a payment, and then for Stripe to authorize that payment and send a confirmation back to your website. And it will do that with these keys, this publishable key, secret key, and the webhook secret. It will provide those in the API settings on Stripe for you. If you need any help, obviously let me know. And you've got two modes. You've got test mode, which is what I'd recommend first, which enables you to use some test cards and just make sure the whole payment system works without actually having to take real money from your card. And then once you're happy to go ahead, you can use the live keys and secret keys. Again, they're all in the same place and reasonably convenient to get hold of. Is there anything else here? Yeah, it's got also some additional options for Apple Pay and Google Pay, which works slightly differently, but might allow you to take payment more quickly and more easily on mobile devices. So you definitely want to investigate that. I have had a couple of options where if you're showing an XVAT amount, it doesn't always show that on Apple Pay. It will take the correct amount, but it shows the XVAT amount, but takes the full amount with VAT included. So it's a bit confusing. So I think if you're going to use Apple Pay, then you really want to be showing the full VAT amount, or showing amounts with VAT included for it to work correctly from my experience. And you do want capture charge immediately. Otherwise, you've got to manage that. But if you add all the details in, what it will do is it will not only take the order, take the payment, and then process the order and basically get it ready for you to fulfill it. I think that's it in terms of payments. Yeah, okay, so I'm just going to quickly show you privacy. Let's leave that page. I'm not going to save it. I'm going to quickly show you privacy. This is basically for a few things if you want to allow guest orders to take place, or you want to make sure people log in, you can tick that box to make sure they can do it without an account. Actually, I want to force people to have an account. It's kind of key to how everything works for me. So I've actually disabled that. But I will allow people to log into their account during checkout. So that makes it easier for them. And there's also some information here about how people will, because obviously GDPR has kicked in, so they've added these, kicked in a couple of years ago, but they've added these options since then that allow people to manage removing their data correctly. So you can actually allow people to do that through the WooCommerce system, but it's something you can do manually anyway. And I'm not going to go into that now. We don't have enough time. If you are unsure about that, do speak to me, support@ratherinventive.com. Okay, on to emails. Now, this is where you can get creative and start customizing the email communications that get shown to people. Let's see if have I got a default one here. So here's a default email, order email, and by default it's going to be the WooCommerce purple. So you probably want to be changing that. And there's a few key things you can change by default on here, like the background color and the purple, and you can add your logo. So what you can do is all of that can be set if you scroll past all those options. All of that can be set here. So you can set who it's from, what email it comes from. You can set header image, which I'll show you in a minute how to do that, and some information that's shown down the bottom. Obviously, they've built with WooCommerce. You can change all that to be your copyright, your details, and so on. And then the colors you want to set. That is it. There are other ways of customizing that, but by default, that's all you get. Otherwise, you have to customize it in code, which we can do for you, or you can find plugins to allow you to customize emails. But to be honest, most people are happy with that default. It can work quite well. If you want to put the logo in, and the logo doesn't need to be just your logo, you could make a special little graphic that goes at the top there. What you'll need to do is go into media. So I'll open that up as another tab. You need to add your graphic or logo you want to add, and I'm going to find ours. So here's our logo here. And then go in, once you've added it, you want to get the full file URL. So I'll copy that. So I'll select all of that text, and then you can go copy. And then if we go back to here, we can go header image, paste that in, and then that will be shown at the top. So people can see so people have your logo in here. I think if I click preview, will it include that in there? Can't remember. I think I'll need to save that first, actually. There we go, massive logo. So what you'll need to do is upload the logo for the size you want it to be exactly in pixels. So probably you want something between 50 and 100 in height, and I'd say no more than 400 pixels wide. So let's take that out because I don't want that there. And then if you want any different colors, you can choose them from the wide variety of palettes, or if you already know your hex colors, you can add them in there. Now with the emails, if we scroll back up, with the emails, I've actually got more emails on here because we are dealing with membership. You won't have all of that. I think yours will end by default at new account, I think. Now, some of these are going to be for you as the admin. Some are going to be for the customer. So, for example, processing order is a typical one. I think that's the one I was showing you here. So to click processing order, click manage that, sorry. And then we are able to say, add any little additional bits of information if necessary, change the subject, enable or disable it, and then say whether it's a plain text or HTML. I think for the most part, leave that all as default until you've done everything else. So come back to this last, get everything else working. And then when you're doing your test orders, look at the emails and customize them at that point. Again, you're kind of limited in what this can do, but there are other plugins, or we can put additional code in to customize these exactly as you like. New order is what you receive when, as an admin. I'll leave this page because I'm not bothered about the customizations. And so you just want to say who it goes to. Again, you may have a dedicated order team who that gets sent to, so you can customize some of this information. I think congratulations on the sale. Yeah, that appears in there. Little bit of whimsy for you. So yeah, there's not a lot you can do, and the best thing to do is leave this till last and come back to it once you've finished everything else. Integration is, there's tons of ways to link WooCommerce into lots of different things. In fact, actually it's shown more in advance, not here. sorry, in extensions, they've moved it. So in extensions, you can get WooCommerce to link into other payment providers, which we have looked at, but also other services which allow you to carry on the order processing after this has finished, or maybe add the person to a mailing list if they agree to that in MailChimp or Campaign Monitor, for example. So you can start automating things after that. Some of those are paid, some are free. So you'll have to look into what's going to work for you. So if we just go into advanced, I think this is the final bit. All I really want to look at here is just these few sections here. So right at the start, I said when you install WooCommerce, it creates a few pages for you: basket, my account, checkout, and the actual shop page, as well as I think terms and conditions. I can't remember if it does that or not. And by default, it will set them for you. So the basket page is called a cart, checkout page, checkout, but you can make your own pages if you want. And then a terms and conditions page. So if you have a terms and conditions, which you should if you've got an e-commerce shop, we haven't got one on here yet, but I will put one on, then you can just select your terms and conditions page that you will be using. And then this page will be shown on the checkout page. So it will give people an option to confirm and read those terms and conditions. Everything else, I think you want to leave these endpoints as they are unless you really need to change them, because these are used for the transaction between you and other payment providers. So they allow hooks back in from the payment provider to give you information. Leave those as default unless you need to change it. Okay. I think that's pretty much it on the setup process. There are a few more bits you could probably look at, but I think that's the main bit. And that's the heavyweight done, really. That's the boring stuff done. And then you can get on to the fun. So what I'm going to look at now, I've moved on from all of that. What else are we going to look at? So plugin activated. I think what we'll do is we'll quickly look at the products that are available. So let's go back here and just quickly walk you through the products. So I've only got a few sample products in here because, as I said, we're just developing at the moment. So I'm just putting in a few sample products to test everything out. So I've got a few in here. And so basically, when you click on products, you've got a few sections on. You can either view all products. So this shows you everything in your inventory, and you can filter that down by the different categories they're in, or their stock status, if that's relevant to you. Or you can just search for it in the right-hand side here. So I could search for website, for example, press search products, and it's just going to show me products where it's got website within the title and I think the short description. So that's great. Or I can just search nothing and it's going to come back with everything. The other thing you can do if you want to categorize, which I highly recommend you do, and it's going to be useful not only for your shop to help break down the products, but also what I like doing is creating maybe sub pages and just pulling some of those categories through to some of those products through to show on that page. I'll see if I can get an example of that. So if we've got, see if it's going to work on here. Web design, here we go. So this is the mock-up of our web design page. If I scroll down, we should find the products. I've got it here. I did have them. Maybe I haven't got them now. That will be fun, wouldn't it? Here we are. I went past them. So what it means I can do is I can have a page, an actual page in WordPress with all the content I want in there, set up as I would normally set it up. But I can put a Gutenberg block in, which is from WooCommerce. I'm not going to go into those now because there's lots of different ones, but I can put that Gutenberg block in, which will then say, I just want to show products from this category. So here I'm showing products from the website category. And so it's just showing those there. If there were 3, it would show 3 on there. And you can set to how many you want per row, whether you want 3, as this would be, 4, 5, 6, how many you want to show on there. It's quite varied and quite simple. And you can show from multiple categories. So that's quite useful. And that's why categories are really useful to set out as soon as possible, because it's going to make it much easier for people to browse your site and also for you to pull that information into different places. Going back to the products, so if you want to edit the categories, you can go into categories here and then add new categories in. It's very similar to adding categories for blog posts, frankly, very similar completely. You can just add a new category here. The only difference is that you can add thumbnails for each category, which is very relevant if you've got a very hierarchical structure, because you can get your shop to display just the categories, and you click on each category, go into maybe some subcategories, click on that, and then you will it'll show the products under that category. We don't have many products, so our shop actually would just show, if I look at it, it's just going to show all the products that are available. At some point, we might split it down into the actual products. So let's add a product and show you how that works. So I'm going to go through to products and add new. For those who don't know, in the admin bar at the top, you can also just hover over new. So once it's loaded, you can hover over new, and then you've got options of different things you can add new of. So it can be a post page, a media item, an image asset, a product, or an order if you're putting through one manually. So you can add it there. So I've got an example product that we're going to add. Let's see if I can find it. I think it's this one here. So let's bring it through. We're going to add a digital marketing support call. Now this is from our Inventive People site, which I'm merging in. So let's put it in. I'm going to copy and paste and do it the old-fashioned way. What else do I need? Let's take some of this text here. And I'm going to put that into this section. Now there's two description sections for a WooCommerce product. There's the short one, which is shown right at the top next to the product name, and then there's the description. This is actually the description. The short description is available down here. Now let me just put in this bit of text in the short description, and then I'll show you where those are laid out once we've created the product. The best way of looking at it is that short description will actually be for most people. I think that's where most people will put their information for a small bit of information. But if you've got lots of detail, maybe you want to include videos and so on, then you will want to include that in this main bit at the top. So that's great. We've got all of that in there. We also had a video, if I believe. Yeah, we've got a video. So what we'll do to include that, there are many different ways to do it, but a very simple way is just to go to your video, copy it, copy the URL, make sure you're in visual mode, and then just paste the link in. And WordPress should automatically embed that for you, which is done. Just you've got to give it a moment, and it'll automatically do that. So there is my video in there, which is great. And then I want to put it into a particular category. So what is this? Digital marketing support call. So we'll put it into the internet marketing category and then start filling out some basic details here. So this is a simple product at the moment. So let's put virtual. Have to ignore the subscription stuff because that is not to do with that's an additional plugin that will do that. But we want to put it as virtual because there's no shipping that's applied to this. And then what details we need in there. So the regular price, £50. It's taxable. Tax class is all standard. It's not on sale. That's fine. So then we go to inventory. If you have a stock keeping unit or a specific unique code for each product variant that you've got, that's where you put that in there. And then you can set with your managing stock for this in particular. I'm not, so I'm going to leave this as it is. If you did want to manage stock, then you can put your current stock quantity in there. And obviously, as people buy products, that stock quantity is going to tick down automatically, and then you can add stock back in later. I'm not going to go into that in detail. Again, that's very specific for certain people. Linked products, so upsells and cross sells. This is where if you have one product where someone could basically go in at one level and then you could upsell them to a high level package, then this is where you might add on additional products here. So it could be maybe I've got a digital marketing support call, but then I've got like a concierge, super all everything support call where I give people more. It might be I have that as a separate product. And so that's where I can start typing that product and then select the variation that links to. And that people will then see that upsell product on your on that page as something else they might be interested in. cross-sell will be shown when they go onto the basket page. So once they've added that item, we want them to add more things that might complement that particular product. It could be, if it's a physical item, it could be adding insulation to that item. So they buy a stove, for example, a nice fire stove, and it could be that they can add insulation for an extra £100 or something like that. I know stoves don't cost £100 to install. So you may want those. By default, otherwise it's just going to show related products, usually within the same category. Attributes I'll come back to in a minute, and advanced are if there is a specific thing you want people to see once they've bought the product, you can put it in purchase note. We've actually used this recently as a booking for Morale's handwriting. Actually, she was doing online video workshops, and so once people buy the workshop as a one-to-one workshop, in the purchase note it's got a link through to a Calendly booking system, so people can book their time slot with her there. I'll probably do the same thing. I just have a purchase note in here, and that's something that gets added to their order email. Menu order, in fact, I'll show you a little tip for ordering. What this will do is actually allow you to order the products in the menu, but it'd be real faff to do this because you have to remember all the different numbers and make sure they're in line. I think the best way of doing it is to look at the all products page, and there's a special option in here called sorting. And once you go into the sorting tab here, then you are able to drag and drop them around into the order you want them. Which, if you've got lots of products, you might want some to appear above others and format that. This is the best place to do that. I actually only discovered that last year because a customer was having this issue in terms they really wanted to focus on their sorting, and we found out that that option is available. But you have to go to the sorting tab. Let's finish adding the product. Okay, what else do we need to add in here? We've got all the prices. We've set up as a virtual product. We've got price. We're not managing inventory. We're not doing any link products. I've got, in fact, ignore all the membership options because you won't have those. We've got the short description in. Product image, let's add that. So I'll get set product image, and I'm going to find one that's available. Have I got something similar? Okay, let me drag and drop one on. That's going to upload it straight away. I'll just drag that from my desktop straight on. And once that's uploaded, we can select it. There we go. It's automatically selected. Set product image. Great. If we wanted multiple images, and I'm going to show you this as an example, although I wouldn't set it up like this, you can add images to the product gallery, and let's just set a few faces. In fact, let's click Louise there, Claire, and I'm holding down Shift to multi-select. Jack and Jack. Add them to the gallery. Great. So that's great if you've got a masthead main image for the product, but then you've also got others. So great, that's in there. Memberships options, we don't need that. Everything's there. Good. So let's just preview that. And when that comes through, taking a little while to preview for some reason. What I'll do is I'll actually just publish that. Cancel that. Hopefully my internet's working correctly. Yeah, brilliant. Okay, something went on there. So let's view the product. There we go. So we can see the title, we can see the price, it's X VAT, that's the suffix, short description and the long description, including my video up there. You may want to format that. Maybe you want the video to be full width. Also, you can flick through the little gallery here of images, which is very relevant if you've got a product with maybe different angles and so on. Now, with this particular product, we've actually got two different times we can buy it for, 30 and 60 minutes. I will very quickly show you how to do that with a variation. So let's go back into the product, edit the product. And we want to go down to attributes. And I want to add a custom attribute. whoops, add a custom attribute called time. Actually, I would use this throughout lots of different products. So we've got 30 minutes, and then we use a pipe, which is that character, to separate it, or 60 minutes. So there are two options. Save attributes. But because I want people to choose, and the price will vary, so it's a variation based on that, I need to actually change the product from a simple product to a variable product. And then now I've done that, I can go back into attributes, click on time, and then say it's used for variations. So it's not only visible, but it's used for variations. And then when I go into variations, which is the new tab that's been added, because I've said it's allowed for variations, I can create all the different various prices of this. Now, depending on the number of variations you've got, it will create a different number of combinations. For me, it's just going to be 2. The easiest way to do that is to select this option, create variations from all attributes. It's just a warning, say that it can only do 50 per run. Once I do that, though, you'll see the 2 created, and then I can go in and put in the different prices. So what prices have I got here? I've got 30 minutes is £50, and 60 minutes and £95, so a small discount. So I can go into each one. 30 minutes, oops, that's our price, it's here. There's my regular price. And for 60 minutes, I want it to be £95. It changes. So now we've done that, we can update and view our product again. Is that finished? There we are. And this is unformatted, so it will look slightly different on your site, but I can choose an option. It's giving me a price range here because that's the default, but I can then confirm it's 30 minutes and what the price is, or that it's 60 minutes and what the price is. And then it will add that option when we go out to basket to the cart. So we know what it is. So it's a digital marketing support call at 60 minutes. So it adds the variation on there. Very cool. Okay, so that's adding a product. So we've looked at everything there. Oh, shipping classes is the one thing I haven't mentioned. Let's quickly go through that product. Okay, shipping classes. If I click on shipping, whoops, shipping. If I have multiple shipping classes, so like with Campania collections, they've got large and small, you can select those here and it will vary. You can also put in the dimensions and you can actually start calculating the price based on the dimensions as well that's put in. I'm not going to go into that because it's quite complicated for now anyway. So I think that's everything with adding a product. I'm just going to quickly look at coupons. I'm just going to very briefly touch on it and processing orders. I know we're running a bit long, but I think it's worth going through this. So then let's go to coupons. So actually you'll get a different little wizard screen. I've already been through the process once, so I've lost it, but basically saying just add a coupon. So click add coupon. You can have as many as you like. And what they allow you to do is have discounts off of the basket, which can be useful if you are trying to incentivize people and see which bit of your marketing works. You can use this as an incentive to take that code and put it into the basket online. So let's make an example one here, 15 off, we'll call it. And this is going to be for, put a little description in, 15% off basket. But you can also, if you're generating lots of codes, you may want to do it automatically. So you can just generate random nice short codes that are easy to use. But maybe we've got a recurring one of 15% off that everyone can use whenever they want. And then we've got some different options here. A percentage discount is by default very easy. It's just a percentage discount for all products that you've got in your basket. So I'd put 15 here and I know that it's going to get that discount off. But it could be that they've got a fixed basket discount. So maybe that is £15 off. That's the difference here. So if they were to enter this code, they would just get £15 off. And then that is a fixed product discount per product. So it might be £10 per product that you add in there. I like percentage discounts because they're usually easy to work out. So we want a discount on the entire basket. or for each product, and where it's £15 each. Now, maybe I want to restrict that coupon to just this month or for a certain period of time, in which case I can do that here. And also, yes, if you want to create free shipping coupons, you can do this, and that will automatically put them on the shipping zone of free shipping. Within the zone you've created for free shipping. Usage restrictions, so it might be you say, well, that only applies to people who spend £50 or over. It might be that they can't do it on sale items. It only works on specific products. Or only works for specific emails. It may be that this is just going to a specific subset of people. And then usage restrictions. So are people, how many times can the coupon be used? Maybe it's the first 10 people can use the coupon. Maybe it's a limit for the amount of people. So you say people can use the coupon code up to 5 times. So there's loads and loads of different options on how that's applied here. So I'm just going to keep it quite simple. We'll just turn those off, turn that off, and we'll just have a simple percentage discount that people can use whenever they like. Maybe it's we'll set something up like this. So when people become members, they can get a discount off whenever they like because they're automatically logged in. So this is quite a simple code. Publish that. And then I'll just quickly show you how that works. If we look at I'll just go to the main website. I'm going to go to my basket. And I can apply the coupon code here, so 15 off. And all being well, the coupon has been applied, which is great. You can also say whether, and I think this was back in the options, whether you can layer coupons on top of each other or whether it just takes all the coupons and will just give you the biggest discount that you can have. Going back to the product, so that's coupons. Let's just finish off with looking at processing orders. Very straightforward. So what I'm going to do is let's buy one of these. Why not buy both? Hey, let's spend big. So we've added these to our basket. Proceed to checkout. And just before we buy, what I'll do is I will show you WooCommerce and orders. So this is how you would get to orders. I will leave that. So we can just see there's just a few test orders in there for now. I've got my details in there because I'm the admin by default, but people would have to fill out their details. They would choose the payment option. Now I've selected PayPal. We've actually got PayPal as an option. If I'd left Stripe in, we'd have that as an option as well. But I'll stick with bank transfer because it's easier for this test anyway. Place the order. It's going to go through straight away. Everything's going to run. And basically the customer would get something like this. Thank you for your order. You as the admin also get an order saying, congratulations, you've got an order. Here are the details. Now, if it's a digital order, that's done and done. They've made the payment. They would have been sent the link through to book, and everything's done. You don't need to process the order in any way. If it's a download, the same thing. But if it's a physical order, you're going to need to come in and fulfill that order. So when you're looking through your orders, you will get something like this. Just refresh the basket. It's going to be on hold because it's a BACS payment, a bank payment. So it's on hold until that payment has been made. And because of that, the customer actually gets an on hold email saying, thanks very much for your order. We're just on hold until we verify payment. Once that's done, you can go into the order and you can then say that that's processing. So we want to change the status to processing and then update. And so this will be how most credit card orders or PayPal orders will come through. And it's processing because it's waiting for you to finish doing the bits that you need to do on your order before it's fulfilled. You can, in code, set options just to automatically set to completed. So if everything you've got is digital, you might want to get that tweaked so you're not having to go in and process the orders. So while we're here, let's just have a quick look around. It's got the order details. It's got exactly when it was taken. It's got their details, where it's shipping to, if that's different. For us, every single person creates an order. Obviously, this is not on our admin account, but if for you, it would actually be a link through to that particular customer. You don't have to have that if you allow guest checkout there. Then you get their basket, whether you used a coupon or not. And from this place, from this point, this is where you could actually go and refund the order if you needed to. So you can either refund the entire amount or specific amounts of each line item, and then put a reason in if you need to. With this, it's going to be a manual refund. If you've got the credit card and PayPal linked up correctly, you can get that refund pushed back through those systems, and it'll go back onto the payment method they used. However, what we're going to do is just process this order, which is what you do most of the time. You go to completed because you've done your bit, you've shipped out the product, and then you go update, and that's done. The customer gets a notification to say everything's been completed, done and done. I think that's about all we've got time for. Sorry for overrunning. I know it's a little bit longer than normal, and normally I run to time, but there are a few other key things to look at here. There's lots more to WooCommerce than what I've just shown you. You've got extensive reports where you can go into see how many orders you're having within a given time period, and so you keep track on who's buying what, how your orders are taking place. But let's leave that for now. I will go back to my slides. There we go. Hopefully you can see those. Joy, thanks for watching. Sorry you had to leave quickly. I'll round off now. You can finish the rest at another time. And actually, just to let you know, every single one of every single one of these is recorded, so you can watch it whenever you like. And we've also got the podcast version as well, so you can go in and see or listen to it while you're walking the dog. So it's always good to have a think about what you can take away from this. Maybe you've got a site set up already with WooCommerce. Is there anything you've seen that you didn't know about? Maybe a new setting that you can go and tweak, or maybe you haven't got WooCommerce at all, but you're thinking, actually, this would be really useful to simplify my process, maybe to stop you taking telephone orders, and you can start putting stuff online and get your website to work for you. So do have a think about that. Certainly no time for Q&A. The next topic I'm hoping will be marketing strategy expert, if that works out. Otherwise, it's going to be in March. If you enjoy these webinars, do tell your friends. It's completely free to join our podcast and newsletter. That comes out every 2 weeks. And the podcast is going to be sometimes an extract from these clubs of about 10 to 15 minutes. Or maybe an interview or something from the past that we've done. So there's lots of really useful content, but to get these, you need to upgrade to Pro. So do let them know. It's £25 a month, or they can buy it for £250 a year. There's no commitment over that, and people can cancel it anytime they like. So do send your friends to ratherinventive.com/club. That's it for now. Thank you very much. The next session should be on the 23rd of Feb at 1 p.m. I may even have proper broadband by then, so everything should be crystal clear. Do stay in touch. I'm on LinkedIn. Thanks very much and take care. Goodbye.